when I went in, there was 3 lines there, I remember. And one of them grabbed me and said, put me in this line here, and he says, "You're in the Army now." I says, "Oh my gosh." I didn't want to be in the Army. And just like that, he grabbed me and slung me over there in another line. And then he says, "Well, you're in the Navy now." No, see, what?
Marines.
Marines now. You're in the Marines now. I says, "Oh, that's worse yet." And the other one grabbed me, he said, "You're in the Navy now." So that's where I stayed, and that's how I got there. Well, I flew all through the daggone war, but I never could look down. I was afraid of heights, you know. So they put me in an airplane they called a B-26 Martin Marauder, and I couldn't see out. I could look up. That was an airplane that had 2-inch engine with 4-blade props on both engines, and I could see the prop turning out there. And that's all I could see outside, and it never bothered me at all, because I never did get to look down. And that all went well, real well and dandy. That was over on the East Coast. I can't understand that very good. We had to fly 3 triangles out over the East Coast at midnight. And all of a sudden, kabang, and a daggone eagle come through our windshield. And we was 2 miles up. And boy, oh boy, that made a terrible racket. And that messed the guys up. We got a glass in their eyes and everything. Said, I dragged him out of the seat. And he started telling me how to fly the damn airplane. And he said, "Just keep going like you are until you see lights. That'll be the United States. Just keep on going like that." But when we saw the lights, he said, when we get there, we'll get it down. Don't worry about it. And so when we got there, he kind of got the glass out of his eyes again, and he got it down then. Boy, I was glad of that, because I was worried about how I flew kind of like it every once in a while, but I didn't want no one to tell me I had to.
You didn't want to think about landing an aircraft?
No, I didn't want to think about that. They called me the director. I had to tell the man when to crank his airplane up and which direction to go and how high to fly and how fast to go and all that kind of crap, you know. And I took up pretty good on the International Morse Code. And of course that was something that I didn't have no problem with, and except the thing I remember was that Pacific always looked beautiful and blue at high noon. Boy, midnight looked pretty dang black and deep. Mm-hmm. We had to jump out of the airplane, and they said, "Don't lock your feet anyway on the airplane. Just lean over forward and tumble. Because when you get down on the water, you're going to have to swim underwater for quite a little distance and take a big as deep a breath as you can, because you're going to have to swim quite a little ways, because your parachute will come down and drape over you, and it'll be wet and you ain't never going to get out from under it if you don't if you don't swim as far as you can go
Mm-hmm.
without breathing,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how we got out from under that darn mess. I remember the one guy. I remember the one guy was trying his darndest to jump out, but every time he'd get to the window, to the door, well, he just he just couldn't jump out. So he went back then and pulled a ripcord, and the airplane all unfolded in back of the airplane. Ah, damn. And he finally got to where he could bundle it up in his arm and jumped out of that dang thing. And you know that parachute all pulled out of that darn airplane and opened up. Can you imagine that?
Wow.
I remember that. That's when we had to swim like hell when we hit them. But the only thing was, some of them couldn't judge their height. Some of them, some of them pulled their 10, 20 feet up in the air and hit the water and killed themselves. And that wasn't no good thing either. They, they just, but we got, we got, we got through all that mess. Damn, yeah, about that damn F4U. You know, the Japanese was kind of thought they had a pretty good zero, but you could that F4U was you just only you got in and you only set just in front of the tail back there. Everything else was supercharged way up in the front, and it had another one of them 4-blade props on it too up there, and uh, we'd go to them Japs thought they had the best zero, and they'd follow us all the way up until we'd watch them when they'd keel over backwards. We'd come over backwards and zap them all the time. That went on for a long time.